Here at Felt, our mission is to make mapping effortless for everyone. Just last week, we introduced a groundbreaking set of spatial analysis tools that make data processing significantly more accessible. In today's video, I'm going to give you a deeper dive into 8 specific transformation tools that are now available in Felt. If you'd like to follow along with this tutorial, just pause the video and go sign up for an account. Alright, let's get into it. So first up we have bounds. I have a new felt map set up here. I'm going to click on the layers button at the top, and this is going to bring up one of my favorite features in Felt, that is this built-in library of data sets with which you can work. I'm going to search keyword birds so I can bring up this US endangered and endemic birds set. I'm going to click on this plus icon to add it to my map, and you can see how snappy and fast that was. So here's our new layer. I'm going to click on it on the legend here. That's going to bring up the style editor over here, and at the top you can see this new button, which is the transformation. Click on this. This is going to bring up the new layout, and there's a drop down menu here showing me all 8 new tools. So I'm going to grab bounds up here, and what this is going to do, this will generate a rectangular polygon around each feature of my layer. It's essentially a bounding box. This is a great way to simplify features to broad coverage areas. So I've already got the layer selected here. I can specify if I want to apply to the entire layer or just features that are showing up on screen. The reason I might want to use features on screen is that if I'm in a scenario where I'm working with a huge global data set and I want to keep processing time down, I would select this. I can also rename the output layer, and it's telling us right here the processing is going to take under a minute, which is great. Click apply, and now it will process. And there you go, we now have our simplified polygons as a new layer with bounding boxes. Next up is buffer, which for each feature of the layer you select will generate a polygon covering an area within a specified distance. So for this map, I want to look at New York City, and I'm going to go to my layer library. If you want to use a keyboard shortcut to grab this, just hold shift and hit L, and that will bring it up. Now I'm going to type in keyword New York, and I'm going to grab the city subway system dataset. Just click on add. And now what I want to do is I want to show basically 1,000 meters from each point. Right here we have the stops and the entrances. So if I grab the layer here, right now if we look at the visualization 4 drop down menu, we have the stops selected, which is just fine. And I'm going to go click on transform and select buffer. Under settings, I'm going to type in 1,000 meters, and then I'll just quickly rename my output layer and apply. There we go. Now I can grab this layer and make some quick style adjustments. Let's turn these to a blue maybe and bring the opacity way down. Beautiful. Be aware that you can also run buffer on lines and polygons for some incredibly powerful visualizations. Centroid will take each feature of your layer and draw a point in the center of it, which is really useful when you need to convert geographic data in the form of areas or lines into the simpler form of points. So in this example, I'm going to hit Shift and L to bring up my layer library, and I'm going to search keyword forest and find this US Forest Service dataset. I'm going to add this to the map. And what I want to do is I want to draw a point out for each forest and then categorize those by size. So I'm going to grab the layer here, and I'll go ahead and click transform, and now I will drop down to Centroid, and we want to create a centroid for each feature of the forest, not the trails. And that's looking great. We want to apply it to the entire layer. That's fine. And you can see right here it's telling us once again this is going to be under a minute, so that's great. Go ahead and apply that transformation. All right, great. That only took about under 10 seconds as well. Now I want to style these, so I'll select the layer. They're already green, which is great. I just need to go under general and type and switch this to size range. And there you go. Now we're starting to get a cool visual here. Make sure you go to the size by category and drop down and select GIS acres. Very cool. Next up is clip. This is going to allow us to keep only the parts of each feature that are inside polygons from another layer. Now, as an example, I'm going to bring up the layer library here and search for power plant. We have this global power plant database right here. I'll add that to my map. And let's say we just want to see these assets within Australia. So I need to create a layer for Australia. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this extract tool, and this is going to allow me to just pull this element straight from the map, and it pulls it as an element right here. So the way that transformations work, they only work on layers. You see that we can't do this with an element. So I need to right click on it and go to actions, convert to layer. So I'll quickly rename this. And now I can select transform and grab clip, and I want to cut out the data from my global power plant database, and I want to cut it out where it overlaps with Australia. And we'll rename this, we'll call it power plants in Australia. Now I'm going to turn off the visibility of our global data set and Australia as well. And you can see I now have this new set that is just within the boundaries of Australia. I need to go back and restyle these based on category, and we're going to color them by their primary fuel again. And there we go. Now I can select whatever color palette I want to go with here. And there you have it, clip. Next up we have count points. As the name implies, this is going to allow us to count the points within a specific polygon. I'll hit Shift L to bring up the layer library. I'm going to search states, and let's grab the US states. And I'm also going to grab a data set for all the libraries in the entire world. And what I want to do here is I want to show the number of libraries per state. So we're going to count the points in each of the US state polygons. So to do that, I'm going to grab the US states. We'll go click on transform, open up the drop-down menu and select count points. And right here it says for each polygon of the US states, which is correct, we're going to count the points in libraries. And that's great. Everything else is looking fine. It says it's going to process this in under a minute, which is great as usual. I'm going to click apply and let this process. There we go. Now I have a new layer of state polygons with the number of libraries contained within it. And what's very cool about this is I can now go to labels, click on the plus icon to add labels, and we can now label these based on the point count right here. Check that out, that's cool. Now I can basically turn off the visibility of this one we want, and we can style this however we see fit. Now let's take a look at dissolve. This will allow us to basically combine overlapping or contiguous polygons. For this example, I'm gonna come over here to one of my favorite countries, Iceland, and I'm gonna go grab the glaciers data set right here, add this to my map. We have all these individual polygons for all these different glaciers here in Iceland. So I want to combine these into one individual polygon, keep it nice and clean. So I'm going to grab the layer here and I'll go click transform, and I'll go to the drop down menu and I'm going to select dissolve. And once the preview comes up, you'll see that it's looking much cleaner here. It's combining all of these. I want to make sure that I'm applying it to only the features on screen, because again, this is a global data set. If I were to select entire layer, the processing time is going to take much longer. So I'll go down to the output of the name here and I'll rename it Glaciers in Iceland. And once again, beautiful. It's going to take under a minute. I love it. There we go. Now we have our new layer. We'll just go back over here and change the color back to a blue. And there you have it, Glaciers in Iceland. Intersect will allow you to keep features that are overlapping between two layers. So I'm going to go to the layer library here, and let's go grab this data set, peaks and summits from OpenStreetMap. And then I'll also grab national parks. We want to see all the peaks in the US national parks here. So I have these two layers now. I'll go grab US national parks, click on transform, go down to intersect, and we want to create new features from peaks and summits where it overlaps national park boundaries. And then we can call it peaks and summits and national parks. This data set is a little bit bigger, so it's going to take just a little bit longer to process. All right, it's done processing. I'm going to turn the visibility of the original layer off, and I'm going to quickly style the new peaks and summits based on category. And then we're going to basically style it by unit name. And there you have it. Now, when I zoom into Rocky Mountain National Park, you can see that the intersect worked very well, actually. Last but not least, we have subtract. And as the name implies, this allows you to subtract one feature from another. So let's say that I just want to view the national parks of the United States isolated with a satellite background. So I'm going to go change the background up here to satellite. And what I'm going to do here is essentially draw out a polygon that I can then change the color of, basically creating a mask. So what I'm going to do is open up the layer library via Shift L, and I'm going to search for this US National Parks dataset again. We'll add that. And then I'm also going to look for the US states, and we'll add that as well. And now all I need to do is grab the US states, and we want these to be, we can style these once we have our new layer, but we're going to grab this one, go to transform, and then select subtract. We want to remove the features from the US states where they overlap with the National Park Service boundaries. And then we'll call the output mask. Click apply. Now let's let that process. Now I have a layer of the continental US with the national parks cut out, which creates a mask effect. Now I can grab this mask layer and style it however I want the background to be. So if I just want to have a darker background, I can place it like this. I'll go to the stroke and I will turn that off. I'll zoom in and quickly turn off the visibility of the original two layers here, US states and US national parks. And I'll make sure that the opacity is at 100. Now if I zoom in here, we have Yellowstone and the Grand Tetons with a mask effect applied. And naturally you can adjust this mask to whatever you want. So if we want it to be, show the background a little bit, you can do something like this, which is looking much better. And this just gives you a little more control. Here's Yosemite. If I want to label these a little bit later using some other tool, I can always come in here and turn off the labels if I want to create my own labels using the text tool. Pretty cool. So there you have it, 8 new transformation tools in Felt 2.0. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you want to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. And as always, please share your maps with us. We'd love to see what you create. We'll see you in the next one.